American soccer can be quite weird. And this week we got a new installment. Boston's NWSL expansion franchise launches with their team name, BOS Nation FC. What do you think
BOS
of that name?
Nation FC. It's a terrible name. It is an atrocious name. It doesn't. I understand it's hard sometimes to figure out how to name an American soccer team because we do not know what we want, Robert. We are confused. Do we want our individual American culture to shine through, or do we want to be leaning on the history of the game mainly from European countries? We don't know. And obviously, the trends in recent years have been to just default to European style names, right? Austin FC, St. Louis City SC, and then at least give St. Louis credit, by the way, for doing soccer club instead of football club. That has been the thing. It's always a football club. Really, it's a football club. We're not going to even try with the soccer thing. Whatever. I know it's tough. So I don't know that I'm super angry about the BOS Nation part. I think the marketing campaign really missed, and that's the thing we're not going to cover in American Soccer is Weird today. But they really missed that. They've had to apologize.
It adds to the note of the weirdness, though, to apologize for your launch the next day after you launch.
It does. When you put your whole marketing campaign around the concept of balls and who has them and who doesn't, or that there's too many of them. You walked into a bear trap. You did that to yourself, BOS Nation FC. Of course, I'll point out that they named it BOS Nation and then said, well, this is an anagram of Bostonian. But then I don't understand why you think that's some genius, clever thing when nobody, unless you flat out tell them to their face the second they see the name, they're never going to be like, oh, I see it. That's an anagram of Bostonian. And so, anyway, it's a terrible name. But they're not the first by any stretch of the imagination.
No, we're going to go through some historical weird team names. But before we break into that, there's been a lot of call for the Boston Breakers. What is a breaker?
A breaker is when the wave breaks. I believe it's a wave reference. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that is.
All right, so we are going to go...
Or it's a video game from 1983, one of those things. Or the ones
brick
where
breaker?
You have to bounce the ball. Yeah, it's a brick breaker. There you go. Brick breaker. That's tough to say. Go ahead.
All right, American soccer history has quite a long list of weird soccer names, and some of them are still living and breathing as we speak. What would you say is the biggest current one? I would put forward Real Salt Lake.
Really? Wow. That's wow. Real Salt Lake is the worst American soccer name.
I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it is it looms large in the current Major League Soccer landscape, in my opinion.
Okay,
just because of the oddity of the connection to royalty of Spain, Salt Lake is the home of American Mormonism. I don't know if those connect.
I think Salt Lake is more than Mormonism, but yes, we know it for Mormonism, and I don't think they have any. There's not like a king of the Mormons, right? They have a
not
king?
That I'm aware of.
No, there's no King Mormon. That'd be amazing. No, they don't have one of those. Obviously. I remember when RSL launched and there was this whole discussion about the name and the Real part and why are you Real? What are you even doing? What is that? Obviously Real, it means royal, and it comes from the king bestowing the title on a club in England, Real Madrid, Real Betis. These are clubs that were just given this royal sanctioning by the king royalty. Or by the royal family. Yeah, Spanish royalty. So how on earth, as you said, does Salt Lake have any connection to that? I remember Dave Checkitz, who was the founder of the club, the first owner, saying, well, Real Madrid said we could do it. And I was like, or we have a connection. Remember, this is the thing MLS teams, American soccer clubs have done for years. They're always like, oh, wait, we have a relationship. We're sister clubs with so-and-so European club. We've formed some bond, right? We did blood brother stuff or whatever it is. I don't know. We spit in each other's mouths, whatever it was to make this bond. And that's what Dave Checkett said. Real Madrid has given, it's once removed, royal sanctioning once removed. Real Salt Lake got their royal sanctioning from Real Madrid, who got their royal sanctioning from the king or something like that, which... Look, I also think what's interesting about Real Salt Lake, RSL, is first of all, you can say RSL and avoid the Real part. And second, over time, it becomes less bothersome. It becomes less annoying. I'm not saying it isn't annoying for people who really think about it, and I know there are people who are still up in arms about it. But I think for the most part, it just kind of becomes the wallpaper, and you're like, okay, well, that's just who they are. Think about this. Utah's got a history like this in another sport because they took a basketball team from New Orleans, where jazz was a major part of the culture, moved them to Utah, and kept the name Jazz when everybody was like, wait, what? How is that a thing? So it is kind of, it's actually Utah sports culture at this point to have weird names for your teams.
Another MLS team, not current, that raised some eyebrows and still does, Chivas USA, a team renamed for a Mexican team, Chivas de Guadalajara, but it was in California.
Yeah, picture the logo. I didn't put it up for us today, but Chivas USA was always a weird experiment. It wasn't, it was not just the name. It was also the minor league outpost vibe of it all.
Yeah.
Their owner was an absolute bleep show as well. So, it had all the, and of course, the end of it is one of the weirdest stories. Maybe we need to focus on the Chivas USA story.
That's a whole story in itself.
That might be an hour-long special episode. We might have to start up the Patreon or the get people to pay a little bit of cash, and we'll put together a whole mini documentary on Chivas USA because that was a ride.
Connection between Chivas and another team with unusual naming that's current at Las Vegas Lights. The coach Chelis,
yes,
going from Chivas and then later being the first coach of Las Vegas Lights, an unusual name. I'll never forget watching one of the first Lights games where Chelis gets a red card and ends up sitting in the stand smoking cigarettes with the fans.
Yeah, Chelis was a character. I think his son also coached that team for a minute, which was not great. But yeah, that the Las Vegas Lights is not the worst name, though. I'm not putting that on our list. What else we got?
Out west, current team in the USL, the Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC, which is more than a mouthful.
Yeah, this team is based in an area that my family has roots in, so it's kind of like I feel this weird connection to them. They also had a manager I'd interviewed a couple times on the radio, who I think is Irish. I think he's Irish. Maybe even played for Ireland at one point. It's not great, but it's more like it feels more like a minor league hockey team name, which doesn't offend me too much, Robert. Like, yeah, it's not great. Hailstorm is like, that transformer that your parents got that you didn't really want because you wanted Optimus Prime. Like, oh, I got Hailstorm? Damn it. Like, that's kind of where I am with Northern Colorado Hailstorm.
And also, there's a huge laundry list of these, but they have the nickname Hailstorm and the football club, and so the naming just becomes almost like a fragmented sentence rather than the name of a team. What are you going to say? Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC, go!
Yeah, that's the thing. Again, everything's got to have FC attached to it. So when we name our teams like they're American sports teams, like we always have, and then we're throwing FC on the end of it, it gets real unwieldy. Gets real big and long and weird.
Another gold mine for unusual, weird, and maybe bad team names, the North American Soccer League, a era of naming all to its own, late 70s and early 80s, NASL. My first pick, we could pick half the league for this.
We could.
This, honestly, but
we could.
One of my favorites is the New England T-Men.
The New England T-Men. There's their logo. I don't know if they had more than one. I mean, as logos go, it's absolutely terrible. It's just how do you reproduce this? It's very involved with the ship, with all the sails. Obviously, T-Men is a reference to the Boston Tea Party, which, I'm all for folding in. I'm all for folding history into our naming. Like, I felt like Austin could have done better than they did, just Austin FC. Like I a lot of teams that have popped up in Major League Soccer in recent years, I'm like, oh, dive into your history. I know Houston tried when they moved from San Jose and got shouted down because they picked a year to attach to the team, and then it was like, that's not the year. Like, that's a bad year. Lots of people got killed during that year. Maybe that's not inclusive. This one, though, yeah. And why does the specific NASL ball need to be involved there? I
That
don't know.
ball is in about half of the badges
I
for
know.
that
I know.
league.
Well, see, this is the thing. I feel like NASL is almost cheating, as you said, Robert, because we could pick half the league. Do we have any other NASL ones? I think we do.
San
What about this?
Francisco Golden Gate Gales
Okay,
is one
I
on the
didn't get a
list.
chance to put that logo in there. Golden Gate Gales is a tongue twister. That's wild. Who do you root for? The Golden Gate Gales? The what? And Gale is also not a word we're using unless you sail the boat on Nantucket Sound. Do you know what a gale is? Do you know what a
Only
gale
because of
is?
only because I've lived in England and it blows a gale all the time. And it's
Oh
a
yeah,
reference to it being windy in San
right.
Francisco. A whale is a really intense, short, like chop, just like intense gust.
Yeah, I know that just because I'm the kind of nerd who would know something like that. But and even spelling, like most people probably wouldn't know how to spell it. Like, how would you spell Gale? Like
Golden
Gail.
gales.
That's my
Golden
mom's
gales.
middle name. Gale. That's what that is. They're the Golden Gales, like the Golden Girls. Awesome. Let's go.
Running down a couple others, there was a NASL team, the Caribous of Colorado.
Oh man, this is the best one. This is the best one for me. I think we got the logo for Caribous, for the Caribous of Colorado. It is a team. So what people either remember or have been told about the Caribous, see, that's the thing. They reversed it too. It's not the Colorado Caribous. It's the Caribous of Colorado, which is flipping the naming convention on its head. Then you've got the caribou with the ball, like
There's the ball.
between its antlers. Wild. People remember this team because they had a fringe. They wore kits with the shirt had like a tassel fringe on it, which is the wildest thing anybody's ever done with a soccer uniform. I don't know what that color scheme is. Is that dirt and gold? Like, what is that color scheme, Robert?
I would say gold and brown. I am a Western Michigan Bronco alumni, and that's their color scheme is brown and gold.
That's right. You guys have that same color scheme.
Yeah,
it works.
sadly.
It works. I guess it works if you do it right. But again, it's the name, right? We're talking about the name here. You named your team after this antlered animal, which already sounds weird, like caribous. Caribous sounds weird. It sounds like, it's almost sounds like it's a nonsense word. You clearly know what a caribou is, but when you say it's caribous, and then the of Colorado part, this was a miss. This was an absolute miss.
Yeah, NASL. There's also within there. I think it's even debatable. Just like you getting used to something, the diplomats. Some people raise their eyebrows at that, but that's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just reach over here off camera. I wore this the other day on the show, right? This is the kind of weird throwback. It's a shirt. It's not a jersey. No, this isn't something any soccer player would actually wear because of the material. But it is, and this is, yeah, they put this out as almost like a throwback thing. But yeah, that's the Diplomats logo right there, which is a ball with a top hat, and there's a cane, and then there's the U.S. Capitol, just to let you know it's about D.C. Yeah, it's a pretty bad one too. There was also like a team in DC called the Whips. They were just doing bad soccer team names in DC back in the day.
Okay, so soccer, I'm going to call him borderline historian. Josh Hackala sent me in a couple ones from way back in the day. Back in the 1915, there was a team called the Young Men's Total Abstinence Society Football Club.
Which, I mean, that's one of those things that is of its time, right? When the teetotaling movement was fully underway, then you've got to have a team named after that. I'm not even sure. I understand that Josh sent that to you because that a team that played in the Open Cup or whatever. Right? That's Josh's milieu. He knows Open Cup stuff. But I don't know that I feel like, yes, that's weird. But I think we kind of have to stick with teams that are either trying to market themselves, because I don't think that's what that team was trying to do, right?
No.
and then also it doesn't have to be professional. I know we've got some teams that are not professional. In fact, I'm gonna grab control here because I want to you put this one up. What is this one? You put this one in our messages today. Thundercats Soccer Club.
And we're talking about names, and the name is fun, but the logo is also just a stitch too. This is a youth and an amateur club in eastern side of Michigan, north of Detroit a little
okay.
bit. I've commented on some of their youth state cup games, and they're good on the field, but Thundercats is just a whole thing.
I mean, so when I'm looking at this, okay, like, and again, I feel bad because I'm holding this amateur club, this youth club, up to a standard that we're really talking about professional team names. Like the BOS Nation is supposed to be a professional team in the top division of women's soccer in America. Like
Yeah, you think they had some marketing sessions,
right?
On that.
They hired a firm to find the name, and they landed on BOS Nation. That's what makes it so hilarious. But they came up with a terrible name despite using all this manpower and supposed expertise. Thundercats just are like, you remember that cartoon from the 80s? What if we named our soccer team after that cartoon? And then the ball is the way that the ball and the Thundercat interact is hilarious to me. I don't know what's supposed to. Is he eating the ball, but then it's too big to fit in his mouth? Are his teeth inside the ball, but we're still seeing them outside the ball? Obviously, the Thundercats font there at the I don't know. Again, it's probably not fair of me to judge them by the professional standard, as opposed to New England T-Men, Real Salt Lake. Was this one, though, Robert, was this one supposed to be a professional soccer team? NJ Teamsters FC?
I believe this is a UPSL team, so
I see.
An amateur side
Amateur
over there.
side as well, yeah. But, like,
Yeah.
do you think it's actually connected to the Teamsters Union? And why the Z? Why the Z? What is that about?
If I remember the press release, because I remember when this came out, I almost think that they did it to appeal to the youth. Hopefully, I'm not putting words in their mouth.
The Utes? The Utes?
The youths. Because they use like hip stuff like Z's on their words.
Oh man, is that what we're doing though? I don't think Z's are a thing. I mean, I know it's Gen Z, but I'm pretty sure Gen Z was not like, hey, we like Z's on the end of our sports team names. And therefore, please do like that. That'll make us more interested. I know we did not pull the logo for another one, so this is in the same vein as the Teamsters for me. Do you remember the Las Vegas Mobsters?
I remember it as a concept, but I don't remember. Did it ever become a reality?
They were based in Vegas, founded in 2013. Now they play in the Nevada Premier League, which is an affiliate of NISA Nation. So that's the big big connection between clubs that NISA tried to put together. The Las Vegas Mobsters. I think there was a thought about them kind of moving up, but they've been solidly amateur since they launched. But it just, again, apparently they're still going. They are playing games. They're not dead. They finished second in the Central Pacific Division, and they were in the semifinals of the playoffs in 2023. I mean, that's not that long ago. And you're saying let's name our soccer club something that's going to get people excited to come out, maybe join up, maybe play for us. Mobsters. Let's name them the Mobsters. It's like wow.
A big theme for these naming things, and it's a damn if you do, damn if you don't. There's the nicknames, and then there's also trying to emulate the foreign ones. But the indoor soccer league history kind of has their own right. Alliteration in indoor soccer teams is off the charts. Like we got the Baltimore Blast, the Harrisburg Heat. Kansas City Comets. And the list goes on with the alliteration of the indoor teams there. So quite a few different like formulas to a bad name.
As a military brat, I lived for a little while in Wichita, Kansas, and they had the Wichita Wings in Kansas. So that was another alliteration. Got to go with that. Now, what was the Dallas team? They were like the Sidekicks or something.
Yep,
the Dallas team.
Sidekicks still rocking.
Yeah.
6,000 fans in there.
How can you go wrong with San Diego Sockers? Yeah. It's like a double meaning thing there. Dayton Dynamo, says Jason. That's a good one as well. Yeah. Those aren't bad names. They're just very American minor league sports names is what they are. Like again, I mentioned minor league hockey. Minor league hockey has some pretty wild names too. They love that stuff. Minor league baseball. I mean, there was that period. I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, Robert, where minor league baseball hats were like a fashion trend among a certain set of young American males. And so you went out and you got your Chattanooga Lookouts hat or whatever it was. And yeah, it's all in the same vein. I appreciate the effort, though. American soccer.
One of
Good,
the
good
speaking
job.
of which, speaking of hats, I did get an odd gift. There was a brief period where fitted hats were a thing for me, and I got a gift of a hat, the Atlanta Black Crackers, which was
Oh,
an interesting team name for
I'm
for any
not
kind
sure I
of.
want to go down that road right now with
No,
you,
no,
Robert.
no. So there has been a long list, and just one more before we go. This is also Josh Hackla connected. Current powerhouse in the USL two, the Ocean City Nor'easters.
Oh yeah, I mean, nor'easter is a storm, right? Isn't that a
Yeah,
storm?
yeah, that's like one of those East Coast storms.
Yes, we have them in the East Coast. We have nor'easters. I think they're more up north from where I am. But yeah, Ocean City, New Jersey. Is that
I
team? It
believe
must be
so.
Ocean City, New Jersey. There's also an Ocean City, Maryland. So I want to make sure I have my Ocean Cities right. Okay.
And then another one from way back in the 20s, Indiana Flooring Company FC.
Well, you had teams attached to companies, right? Isn't that what
That's what it's
that
all about. Yeah, really. It just
Bethlehem
sounds funny
Steel?
now in its context.
Right. Bethlehem Steel was a business. I mean, that was like, oh, there's a Bethlehem Steel company. Let's have a soccer team. All right, Bethlehem Steel's our soccer team. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, Connor's had some fire comments today. Europe doesn't get to just put out young boys and not get thrown into this conversation.
Well,
That's a
okay.
whole nother can of
We
worms. There's a
can't
whole lot of other
look,
ones.
we're already overtime today. We're already in an extra time today. And I was gonna say, like, go look at the Bolivian first division right now and tell me some of those aren't like wow. And we're not the thing about the Bolivian first division is that those team names are in English for some reason that I don't think I've ever really looked into. Like, why is there a team called Always Ready in Bolivia? Why is there a team called The Strongest
Oh, I like
in
that. I
Bolivia?
like that.
Yeah,
What's
those
what's
those
what's a more like alpha type name? Bethlehem Steel or the
I
strongest?
mean, this it's really hard to mess. The Strongest is just that is an interesting one. Why? Since we're here and we're just having fun, why don't I give you some of the Bolivian first division names? So yeah, Bolivar is in first place. That makes sense. Bolivar, Bolivia. Simon Bolivar, founder of the country. The Strongest. You have Blooming. Maybe that's just a place. I don't know. You have a team called Jorge Wilstermann, which I think is some dude's name, probably the founder of the club, very important person. Always Ready, I mentioned. And I think that's about as far as it goes with weird ones. But that's just a couple. And then again, mentioning some young boys over there in Switzerland. Is that where that is?
Yeah, that's a Swiss team. And when they were in the Champions League, they had I think they played Barcelona or something, and so they were on all the talk. They were named on all the talk shows, and no one can help themselves from making a young boys
Got to make a
pun.
joke.
Gotta make.
Got to make a joke.
So I'll come
Yeah.
full circle, come back to the women's game for our last name drop. Coming back to New Jersey, the New Jersey Lady Stallions.
I mean, what's wrong with that, Robert? I fail to see the weirdness. They're ladies and they're stallions. They can be both things. That's not an oxymoron at all. Stallions who are also ladies.
I guess that would seem
Oh
even weirder if
man.
we were before the Megan the Stallion era.
Yeah,
It would be a
Megan
little
the
hotter.
Stallion. She did choose
She flipped the script
interestingly.
on the Stallion
Yeah.
nomenclature.
Yeah. She wasn't like I gotta stay with women horses or girl horses. I can be a boy horse. I'm fierce. I can be a boy. Soccer players can be boy horses, even as they're also ladies.
Another
American
shout
soccer's
out
great.
on the chat is Blue Goose SC in the PDL.
Yeah, there's a
And
bunch of them
obviously
down
we
there.
can do this forever. So if you have uh some unusual soccer team names from America or across the globe, but we've been focusing on American soccer. If you've got a weird American soccer club name, send us in at morningkickaround@gmail.com or online on social media at mkickaround on X and Instagram. Clearly, we've got more than enough material. And I think we've even got a bunch of splinter segments for deep dives in their own right in some of these teams and leagues
Yeah.
along the way. So lots of soccer. We are well over time. It seems like we've had some fun this morning. Hit us up, like and subscribe. Keep this party rolling. Help us expand and grow, because more the merrier, and the better it'll get, the bigger it gets.
Yeah, tell people about the show. That's the most important way that you can help us out, is just to tell somebody you know, so a soccer fan, maybe you're going out to a game this weekend, have a conversation. Hey, have you heard about Morning Kick Around? Jason Davis, Robert Kerr, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would also say, American Soccer is Weird is a place we want to go to a lot on this show.
Yes.
This is why I love our game in this country, because it is weird and it's ours and it's special. So if you have an idea, not just a team name that's weird, but like a story from American soccer that you think is weird, please send us a message by some means so we can incorporate it down the line.
We've got some grassroots effort. I would be remiss if I don't shout out